This week's episode is sponsored by NI Baby Scan. Thanks to their state-of-the-art equipment, NI Baby Scan offers expectant parents the chance to get a little closer to their little one. Scans include an early pregnancy scan to reassure, a dating scan to more accurately predict a due date, a gender scan to determine the sex of the baby, and a 3D or 4D scan to see their baby in amazing detail. To find out more, check out their website www.nibabyscan.com or call them on 07 887 630 739. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the next episode of Nuggets Don't Fly. This is a Cameron Henderson interview. How are you, sir?
I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Excited to have you on. And always, the two men joining me is Graham Crawford. How are you?
Lads, are you? Good to be back.
And Mr. Oliver Webb.
Well, Chappie. Well, how's things? I'm fairly buzzed for this one. So came in from the beach for this one, but it's well worth it.
Yeah, a lot of excitement around this one, especially in Scotland. Traditions, lads. Graham, do you want to start off with your drink?
Yeah. So I've just got a bottle of water, but I've got a squares bar as well to keep me going.
Lovely. I'm rocking orange double strength squash in the Leicester Tigers Cup. I thought that was very fitting.
Hey.
Ollie, what about yourself?
I'm on the Peroni. The first time I've gone alcoholic. So I've been on the cans all day, so I saw no reason to stop. So there we go.
And Cammy, what about you?
I've gone for some freshly squeezed orange juice and beetroot juice.
Nice. Edgy.
Health good. Yeah, exactly. Be different.
Got the pro athlete.
Yeah.
I think we'll just get stuck into it then. So Cammy, just for any of the Irish listeners, could you tell us just a bit about yourself and how you got to end up at Leicester Tigers?
Yeah, of course. First, it's great to be on. So started off, was born and raised in Hong Kong for 13 years, and then grew up and played for the Hong Kong Football Club there. Loved it. Loved going down. Played rugby on a Sunday, football on a Saturday, and then moved back when I was 13 to Scotland, to Strathallan. Did pretty much my schooling up until I was 18, and won the under 18 schools cup with Strathallan then, and then finished school, and then went into the Glasgow Warriors Academy. Did 2 years there. But throughout the school, whilst playing for the Scotland age grade stuff, and then got first proper chance at the 20s. Did 2 years of that, which was brilliant. And then after the Six Nations was done, I got a call from Steve and said, "Do you want to come down?" And I was sort of wasn't sure what I was going to do with Glasgow. I was wasn't overly happy with it, and I was and then Steve obviously gave me a huge opportunity, and yeah, it's been brilliant since. I haven't really looked back, to be honest.
Yeah, you've definitely gone from strength to strength. We posted it there about your record. You've got an eye for the try line as well. A couple of tries and a few appearances.
To be honest, I don't know where it's come from. Let's go for 2 years and then come down here.
All right, we'll get stuck into the questions now. Graham, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so Cammy, you played a lot of rugby in Hong Kong then. When did you start playing, actually?
I was 4.
4?
Well, 3, but 4 technically. Yeah. Rugby started.
What was the rugby culture like in Hong Kong?
It's actually quite good. There's a lot of enthusiasm around it. There's quite a few clubs. It's I think last couple of years it's gone pro. There's like a top league now, so it's starting to build up there. But when I was there, it was very much about skills and just playing wide and really just enjoying your rugby. and obviously it was sun shining, so I didn't really get the whole, Sunday morning freezing cold. I didn't really get that, so I think that probably helped the start of rugby, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I
Would
have
it
a
have been
question here.
a lot faster and a lot higher scoring over there? Would it
Yeah, of course.
more Southern
Yeah.
Hemisphere style?
Yeah, there wasn't much rain or anything, so it was literally
Oh,
just playing all the time. A lot of running. It was great. It was great way to start. As in, just my ball skills have helped that a lot from growing up there. So I think that made a difference.
Good stuff. Wouldn't have had your head stuck in the driving malls like
No,
the way you do now.
I started off at 12. So.
Oh really?
Oh,
Okay. Very good.
10, then 12, and then moved
Jesus.
into the forward, and then moved into the forward pack. Unfortunately.
The best place to be.
Yeah, I just have a question here, and this could be a very simple answer. What's the difference between playing 4 and 5 in the second row?
There is no difference.
No difference at all.
I think the coach just chooses it as he. Well, I used to have a vague idea that it used to be the 5 was the sort of line out call and lock, and then the 4 was the big heavy lump. But now I'm the 4, or whenever I play, I've been 4, and I'm definitely not that. So I've not really got a clue anymore, to be honest.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So you've 11 caps for Scotland under-20s, Cammy. But I'm just wondering, is there a big step up between like an international under-20s and playing for Leicester? Because obviously under-20s international is a very high standard now.
Yeah.
So.
I say there's a little step up. I'd actually say, well, in terms of physicality, I think there's a slight step up. But in terms of the speed, there's not a huge amount of difference. I think it's a real good. It's a good stepping stone, if that makes sense. You're almost ready for it.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more of just like, well, especially in the Premiership, it's very physical. So it's almost there's a lot of big guys who are running hard. So that's probably the one thing you have to get used to a bit more than the under 20s, which are a bit more rugby being played, if that makes sense. There's a lot more set piece. It's very much set piece orientated and stuff at the top of the game.
And what was it like, kind of going from playing with essentially schoolboys to getting coached by Steve Borthwick and having Youngs there and Cole and like all these like absolute legends of the game?
Yeah, it was a bit of to be honest, it was a bit of a shock to the system the first couple of days. But to be honest, they're so down to earth that it's like speaking to. Do you know what I mean? It's not that difficult. That was the one thing that really struck me when I moved down. Was like I was expecting it to be a lot worse, but they're actually so down to earth, and they want to get to know you. So it was after a couple of days, you don't really well, you obviously in the back of your mind you're thinking, wow, these guys you want to follow that, but at the same time they're just Tom and Dan, and they're very much you have a joke as you would with anyone else.
It's good culture for sure.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, sure. We'll follow that up with a less serious question, because although you might look 25 or 26, you're only 21, the same as the three of us. So, what did you get doing for your 21st in COVID? How did you make the most of that?
I wish I could say it was a lot more glamorous than it was. I was down here, so we've got like I live in a big house, and we just got a games room, and basically we all got dressed up, and yeah, just had as you can imagine, a bit of a piss up in the house. I wish I'd probably have wanted a much bigger thing. Kind of planned for maybe having a sort of 21st or something, but it didn't really happen. So I was dressed up as Mario instead.
Not too bad.
Yeah,
it was alright.
Did you have any of the big dogs there? You didn't have George Ford out in the can?
No, I did not. No. It was a small gathering. Obviously, keep the COVID bubbles.
Absolutely.
Good man.
Obviously.
Responsible.
Yeah.
So,
Sure, go on.
Cammy, I'm sure when you changed club during Corona, I can imagine you didn't really have much socialising to do really with your new teammates. But what was it like actually changing clubs during COVID?
It was really weird initially because when I first came in, it was like we were limited to groups of something like 10. So and we weren't allowed to. The first couple of weeks we weren't actually allowed to even touch each other. So it was almost like there was no contact. It was just running. So the first couple of weeks, you can imagine, the middle of the summer was pretty dark.
Yeah.
In terms of the rugby, so I didn't actually get to meet really anyone until, apart from the people in my 10-man group, until about 3 weeks in, and that was when things started. We started to get, we got the green light to start training and stuff, and it was good. It was probably smoother than I expected it. In terms of it was just a lot. It was a bit of at times of the training there was a bit more. It was a lot more intensity than there was when I was back in Scotland. But in terms of meeting the teammates and stuff, it was pretty seamless. Like it didn't, as I said, after a couple of days, it was pretty much everyone was very much welcoming, which was brilliant. Obviously, I was a bit nervous initially coming down on my own, but we got there.
Who's your best mate in the squad at the moment? And in addition to that, who's on the tunes normally as well?
Who's on the tunes? God, that's a tough question. There's quite a few. In terms of, there's a guy called Ollie Chesham, who is probably my top mate at the moment. He's been looking after me recently. I don't know if you know, he's like a second row /6. In terms of tunes, a guy called Freddie Stewart. He's a bit of a DJ himself. Loves a tune. Loves a techno banger. I'm more of a old school, almost cheesy, to be honest. But
Ooh, bit of pop or something.
yeah, you know, a bit of ABBA.
Hard to beat.
Yeah. So that's it. You can't beat it.
But anyway, so next up, this is a more serious question now, because you can see the flag in behind Jack there, the Ulster flag, and that happens to be the next fixture for the boys.
Suitable.
So we'll not ask for predictions or anything, but what are your, if you could give us some thoughts going into that game? Like, I'm assuming just approach it like any other game, and hopefully from your perspective get the win.
I think I watched the Ulster game against Northampton last week, and they're a good side. There's no doubt about it. They'll be a step up from what I've played before in Europe, but it's a European semi-final, so it'll be a big game at home. I think it's a Friday night, so. I think it's a couple of weeks away, but it's definitely in the back of the minds in terms of it's going to be probably quite a physical battle, and it's going to be a good. I think it'll be a great game to watch. But yeah, I mean, I've been to Kingspan once. I was 24th man for Glasgow, and that was the only time. It was my own experience. We got pumped, so hopefully we can do a better job.
What year was that? 2019, probably.
Yeah, it was it was like 2 years ago. Yeah. Before coronavirus, when there was no crowds.
Yeah.
There was actually crowds there. So.
Taking a step back from the rugby here for a second, if my sources are correct, the pubs in England have opened up recently. I don't know if you've had a chance to get out there yet, but if you have, what was your first pint?
They have. My first pint was a pint of Amstel.
Oh.
It was a toss up. It was a toss up between that and Heineken. because they didn't have my favourite tenants. They don't have that
Your favourite?
didn't have that. Out of tap, I think that's the best thing.
Yeah.
Bit of the big juicy.
It goes down smooth anyway, but
It does.
we love a Guinness on the Nuggets don't fly. What would your opinion be on the old Guinness now?
Nice, heavy.
Okay.
But no, I definitely have a couple of Guinness. I've never experienced the whole a couple of Guinnesses in Ireland, so I'd be very much up for that at some point.
Yeah, if there's ever an away day at Ulster, you're more than welcome to join us for a few pints.
Yeah, I'd be there. That's we'll shake on that now.
Perfect.
Away day.
We'll be pissed already because we'll have been watching you for 80 minutes. So
that's it. I'll have to catch up.
Graham, have you got a question there?
So leading on to what you said earlier about being the 24th man, was it, for Glasgow? How many extra players would you actually bring to away games? So would it be like 10 or like 3?
It is 4, I believe, at Leicester now. Done a few. If I'm honest. It's a bit there. I think there's 4 or 5 of us. They normally take like one from each of the sort of like the key positions, if that makes sense. So they normally take a hooker, a second row, back row, a 9, and then like a 10, and then a 10 and a sort of outside back. Sort of do one of each, so cover bases. But if there's someone who can play 10 and 15, then they'll probably take just one.
You ever had to get the call up, actually?
Pardon?
You ever had to get the call up to play?
What, at 10?
No, to, like, as an extra player, have you ever had to come on and play?
No, I wish a couple of people have, but I've never, in my time, not so far. It would be interesting though, because it's obviously you're 1 minute you're not playing, and then the next minute you could be thrown straight. In some cases, you could be thrown straight into starting. You have to be ready. I think.
I take it you're fully involved in the warm up then. As
You get fully strapped up and stuff, and you're almost told to approach it as if you're playing.
Okay.
But it's obviously quite difficult because you probably know you're probably not going to play.
Yeah, it'd be hard to get up for it for sure.
Yeah, of course. So that is one thing I've never done. I think it'd be interesting to see if I did do it.
Yeah. Something that you kind of have been involved in this season was European games kind of being called off. How do you react to that? Like, you've prepared all week for it, like, and you're up for it, and then maybe in like the 11th hour, you're just told it's not happening.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's happened a few times this year, actually. Happened it's happened 4 or 5 times now, and it is weird because it's quite frustrating at times because you know that you've got. Obviously, you're doing all the prep before the game. You're doing loads of analysis. You've got obviously your moves tailor-made to each team, and then it's almost a bit of a waste. It is frustrating. I think we had one game. We'd had Northampton away, and that's one of the biggest derbies in England, and we'd been preparing seriously. Like, it'd been a big week. They were really beating the drum about it, and then literally got to Thursday and they called it off. So it can be quite frustrating. I think we're hopefully past it now. Hopefully past the worst of it now, but it is quite frustrating. Yeah.
That's it. And just on away trips there, do you have a favorite away trip that you've had so far? A favorite stadium to visit, or a favorite even if it's for the night out afterwards or anything like that? A favorite away day, the whole package.
Yeah, I haven't. Obviously, we haven't had any nights out or anything after games as of yet, because which has been quite. But we did. There was I'll go to. I had one where I actually played was probably my favourite. There was a away trip. We played Bayonne in France, and that was like the first time we'd won in quite a long time in France. So there was quite a big celebration after that. So I'd probably say that was my favourite. It wasn't most fun on the plane home, but
Okay.
but it was good. And then probably in terms of best stadium, potentially I quite enjoyed the London Irish. They've just moved into a new stadium, so they've got this big football stadium, and it's lovely. So I was 24th man for that, and I still really enjoyed it. Stayed in it. Obviously, you're staying in London the day before and stuff. Nice. So that was probably my favourite as of yet, in terms of that I didn't play in. But yeah.
You're in your first proper seasons as a professional. I would say you're a regular now in that Leicester team. What tips would you have for any young lads trying to make that jump between that Strathallan top schoolboy level to kicking on into professional?
One thing I'd probably say is being confident going into an environment. So if obviously you're coming out of school and you're going into sort of a professional environment, it can be quite daunting. But I think probably something that I've learned that I probably regret doing when I first went to Glasgow was I was quite introverted and probably not that confident, and the players and coaches noticed that, and as a result their attitudes towards you change slightly. So what I'd say is being as confident and just be yourself is something that I probably, if I went back, I wish I'd done. I feel like I've done it at Leicester and I feel like it's helped, but I didn't really do it at Glasgow, and as a result I didn't really play. So that's probably something that I'd say, just being confident going into obviously what's quite a daunting environment.
That's good advice. Well, sure, we'll let you off the serious questions then, because that's some great advice. And we'll finish with a few easier ones. What is the best holiday you've ever been on, Cammy?
I went to Ibiza after I went to Ibiza with a couple of my mates. That was brilliant. I did a week that, or I went to the Maldives with my family. That was unbelievable.
Wow.
Unbelievable. It was just a paradise. All inclusive. Just ate the house down. Ate and drank the house. That was brilliant. In the sunshine.
Lovely stuff.
Yeah.
Graham, have you got a question there in relation to his comment about food?
Yeah, it's quite a serious question actually, Kenny. So, what would you rather, KFC or McDonald's?
McDonald's every day.
Very good.
I'd even rather. It's quite controversial. I'd rather have a chicken legend than a Zinger burger as well. I'd even say that. I really am not a fan of the old KFC. I think it's just too greasy.
Really?
We're big fans of KFC here.
We love it.
I thought because of the nuggets. I thought I thought McDonald's would be the safe bet. Would be the crowd pleaser.
Maybe we need to rebrand.
Yeah, I think we do. The drumsticks.
The 36-piece bucket doesn't fly.
Yeah. Doesn't quite have the same ring to it.
Yeah.
Lads, is that all the questions we've got?
I think so, yeah.
I think so.
Right. On that note, I'd just like to thank Graham and Ollie for joining us for this interview.
Thank you, Chappie. It was a pleasure.
And special thanks to Cameron Henderson, and all the best in the league. Maybe not so much the European Cup, but if we have a second team to support here, I'd say it's definitely Leicester.
Yeah,
definitely.
Well, thanks for having us on, lads. Ollie, you're not going to finish your beer?
I have.
That is what the fans would have wanted, I suppose.
The fans always get what they want on this channel now. But no, all the best, Cammy. I hope.
Thank you very much.
I hope to see you play for Scotland in the next couple of years. Now that would be lovely.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I've actually got a poem here, Cammy, if you want to hear one.
Oh yes, sorry. We have a tradition where whenever we have a guest on, Graham would read them a poem.
Right. ready for this?
What do I have to do anything with it?
No,
Or
no.
Wait, you just gotta absorb it.
right, okay.
He grew up in Hong Kong. He came to Scotland. He went to Leicester Tigers, then went to Glasgow Warriors, and now he's a Leicester man once again. He's a pro baller, the same age as us, which makes it even worse, because look at us, walking in a Cammy Henderson shadow.
What? I don't know how to react to that. I thought it was brilliant.
Thank you.
Does that count as a rap? Is that?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's definitely not a poem. It's a chant.
Yeah, hopefully, when the Leicester fans are back, you'll be hearing that stadium anyway.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
All right.
Thanks a lot, lads.
Yeah, that bombshell, we'll end the review here. Thanks for everyone listening, and keep an eye out in the next couple of weeks for some more pro baller interviews.
Brilliant.
Cheers, Cammy.
Thanks, guys. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
All right, cheers, can I see you later?